How's it going, everybody? We are back for another fine edition of All In, where I'll pick a rock artist, I'll listen to their entire discography, and give my thoughts on it. The rules go kind of like this. The band in question must have 5 or more original studio albums. Cover albums can count. Generally, I don't talk about live or acoustic albums unless the tracks are mostly original in that form. So, here we go. We're going to get rolling on this series again. I got a few of them coming up here in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. So, as you see by the title on your screen, we are going to do Texas Hippie Coalition. That's right. Sort of a more modern band by the standards of the bands I mainly listen to. So, yeah, as you saw there, I am drinking, it's called Shiner Raspberry Lemonade Shandy Seasonal. And, yeah, as I'm taping this, it is a 4th of July hangover, I could call it, the Sunday after. Hope you guys all had a safe 4th of July weekend, you saw some good fireworks, you got home safely, yada yada yada. But, yeah, happy 250th birthday, America, or USA. And I celebrated in West Virginia fashion, too, so gotta love that. But yeah, will this be on a future brew review? Stay tuned and find out. We have a lot of content over there as well that's releasing every Friday. So yeah, tune in for that as well. But anyhow, getting back to the actual topic at hand. So, like I said, Texas Hippie Coalition, obviously they're from Texas. They're from, where are they? Yeah, Denson, Texas. So, they sort of have like I wouldn't say like a hardcore metal style, but sort of more of like a hard rock style. Like it's a band that I feel could have gone mainstream, but they didn't really quite, make it there, so to speak. But I feel like it's sort of like if Pantera would have continued on as they got popular, I think this is how they would have sounded, sort of, But yeah, so we'll get going here. So they had a total of 8 original studio albums, spanning from Pride of Texas in 2008 all the way to 2 years ago with Gunsmoke. And no concert experiences with them, obviously, but I first heard about them through a guy I know from Silvertongue. His name's E-Wizzle. Not only he was like the stage manager at Silvertongue, and when I go to work where he worked at, I worked on his camera systems at his old workplace. We would have a little roundtable discussion about music every time I'd come over there. And this is one of these bands that came up that they weren't really popular yet, but he would post like videos to them on Facebook and stuff, linking to YouTube, and I gotta say, it's some pretty good shit, And then I even heard like Bob Rock's starting to play them a little bit, right around 2010, 2012 or so. But yeah, so let's get started here. So here we are. We have Pride of Texas, which came out in 2008. And yeah, so we end up with No Shame, Clenched Fist, a song I like on the album, Pissed Off and Mad About It. We have Troublesome Times, Drug Dealer, Texas Tags, Leavin', Crawlin', Closure, and the last track on the disc, River Bottom, which I really like. I think that's the best song on that entire album. Loved it. And yeah, so Pissed Off and Mad About It and Leaving were like the 2 main singles off of it. Oh, you also had No Shame too. And then they Pissed Off and Mad About It actually released as a single again in 2010. So kind of weird there, but anyhow. So we're moving on to their next album. So in 2010 they come out with Rollin'. And no, that's not to be confused with the Limp Bizkit song. Completely different. And yes, there is a title track called Rollin', so definitely not a cover. But here we have the song Intervention we start off with. We got Flawed, Rollin', Jesus Freak, the other version of Pissed Off and Mad About It. We have Groupie Girl, Saddle Sore, Cocked and Loaded, Back from Hell, and we end it with Beg. And so over on that one, let's see, like I said, I guess Pissed Off and Mad About It version 2 was the only single from that one that's real notable. But not a bad follow-up. So, yeah, hold on, I gotta let the cat out of here. Yeah, we're not scripted. I'm not going to cut that out. Everybody loves cats on the internet, so why the hell not? That was Callie, by the way. We're over here at HQ1 recording right now, which I don't often do anymore. But anyhow, moving on to the third album, Peacemaker. So that came out in 2012, so it's like every couple years they've been coming out with something here. So this is, I would say this would have been their breakout album, their breakout song too. So here we started off with Heads Up, Damn You to Hell. We have 8 Seconds, Outlaw, and what I would call their breakout track is Turn It Up. And that's the song I've heard, for those of you who live like in the South Central PA all the way down to Virginia area, like along the 81 corridor. I'm sure a lot of you would listen to Bob Rocks. That's where I heard this song at, Turn It Up. You know, back when they were in 101.5 on a much powerful signal. Then they moved to a less powerful signal whenever that radio station group sold one of their stations and shifted their country format over to 101.5, and that's a whole nother rant. So then we have Wicked, Don't Come Looking, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, that's a good one. Papa Ale, that's kind of a fun one. Peacemaker, Think of Me, and if you had iTunes, you got the bonus track, Whiskey. So I would say, like, this would be like their, you know, their more higher rated album here. So we move on to 2014, we get the album Ride On. So we have El Diablo Rojo, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Splinter, Monster and Me, GoPro, Rock Ain't Dead, which, kind of a funny little tidbit about that track, if you listen to it, it's almost that like they sort of take an opposite approach to Marilyn Manson's Rock Is Dead, because they actually sort of mention like Manson in this track, you know, referencing, you know, his song Rock Is Dead. So kind of a weird little intertwine there. You have Bottom of the Bottle, Rubbin's Racing, Ride On, Fire in the Hole, and I Am the End. And so as far as singles coming off of this one, Dark Side of Black. Was that the right one? Oh, no, I don't think there was any like real singles off of that. But all in all, another good disc there. So then we move to what I just mentioned, Dark Side of Black. That one came out in 2016. So we have Come and Get It, Angels Fall, Shakin' Baby, Knee Deep, Villain, Into the Wall, Dark Side, Rise, Hit It Again, and Gods Are Angry. And so, yeah, that's the single. Yeah, it's the single Come and Get It. That's the big song off of that. So then, as we move on to the timeline here, we get, in 2019, we get High in the Saddle. So here we start off with Moonshine, Dirty Finger. Oh boy, I don't even want to ask about that one. Bring It Baby, Ride or Die, Tongue Like a Devil, Why Aren't You Listening, Stevie Nicks, Bullseye, Tell It From the Ground, and Blue Lights On. So in this one, the big single here would be High in the Saddle. Actually, no, I'm sorry. No, big single here would be Dirty Finger. And then, so, moving on from that, we kind of take a little bit of a break here. And 2023, we get The Name Lives On. And so we get Hellbounds, I Come From the Dirt, Built for the Road, Scream, Hard Habit, Believe, License to Kill, Keep My Name Out of the Mouth, I Teach Angels How to Fly, and The Name Lives On. So here, the big single here would be Hard Habit. So they were kind of putting out like one single per album there towards the latter half here, but they're sort of one of those, they had their minute of fame on regular radio, and then they just sort of like died off a little bit, but still remained, you know, into the scene, I guess, with the underground. So moving on to the next year, 2024, we get Gunsmoke. So here we got Dead Man, Baptized in the Mud, Bones Jones, Seems Like a Song, Dropping Bombs, the title track Gunsmoke, Eat Crow, Million Man Army, Test Positive, and I'm Getting High. And the big single off of this would be the title track Gunsmoke. And then, 2025, just last year, we get a standalone single called Just Like Johnny Cash. So, not much more to say about them. I need to listen to them a little more to get more opinion on like the individual albums, but like I can more or less relate to the first 3 albums, because when I heard Turn It Up from Peacemaker, I sort of like stepped back to the other 2 and listened to them a good bit, and then I just never really caught on to like the ones after like Ride On, and then here recently I just sort of caught up on all of them, just to see what they're up to. But ratings, we gotta rate the albums. So we're just gonna do one big era. Like, why not? I mean, it's kind of a short history, from 2026 now, so less than a 20-year history. So my worst album, the one, I don't know, I don't really have a least favorite album here, so I'm just going to let it at that. I mean, I would say like my least favorites were probably in the last 3 of them. Favorite album, by far, is Peacemaker. I guess because that's sort of where I got exposed to Texas Hippie Coalition. But we'll see if they get more content out here in the next couple years. It seems like they've been like every 2 years here consistently when you average it all together, but yeah, definitely worth checking them out. So, in the next video, we're going to do sort of like a part 2 to the one-offs. So find out what bands are featured in that. We'll see you next time.